Cultivating resilience during chaos. I think tip number one, I'm going to kick us right off. Tip number one is, what's your definition of resilience? So defining it for you, not comparing yourself to other people. Because sometimes we can look at how a person deals with a chaotic situation and then we think, oh, I have to deal with it like that. But maybe that's not how you deal with it. And maybe that's not what your definition of resilience is. So put your hand on your heart and say, I've got this. And what does that feel to you? Does that make sense? Finding your own definition of resilience.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh gosh, we've got a good one here today. Welcome to our deliciously motivated mindset with Debz. That would be my friend over there. And me with Moira. Welcome to this conversation. This one, we're going to be talking about cultivating resilience during chaos. Gosh, even that just makes me feel like dear listeners, if you've been here before listening to us, welcome back. And if you haven't been here before, welcome. But I love the word discombobulation. When there's chaos around, we experience discombobulation. And so the idea of cultivating resilience just feels like such a uplifting, soothing, calming, balancing, harmonizing. Yes, that. So before we get into unpacking this and looking at cultivating resilience, before we do that, we do our usual check-in where we assess. We use this tip, this technique. It's a self-awareness checking in, and we call it the PEMS check-in. It's when you're checking in with your physical well-being, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And what we do is we assess ourselves. We give ourselves a number between 0 and 10. 0 is zen, calm, present, feeling mindfully aware and totally choosing to be in the moment. And then, of course, 10, the other end of the spectrum, is full-on discombobulation, chaos, crazy making. It's totally dark. And the truth is, we all move up and down that scale. The key piece about assessing it and having the awareness, it stops the monkey chatter in your mind oftentimes. You know, you kind of go, oh, okay, I'm at a 5. Good. And it's because of whatever. And then you can
it's literally
done.
Tick, move on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So listeners, we encourage you to do an assessment with us now, make a wee note of it, and keep hold of your note-taking device when you make a note of it. And then check in at our halfway point, and then we'll all check in together at the end. And of course, Deb and my intention with these conversations is to meet you wherever you are on that scale, whatever's going on for you, and gently, lovingly, kindly, compassionately ease you towards that 0.
Yeah.
So all that being said, Deb, where are you?
I'm a 1.5.
So am I. I was just written down a 1.5, and you say with total certainty 1.5.
I was listening to you talk. I'm like, where am I? Where am I? Where? Which is, I'm the overthinker, clearly. And I was like, where am I? Where am I? And I went, oh, 1.5. Wow, haven't been a 1.5 in a long time. Well, why would you be a 1.5? Just, you're a 1.5, Deborah. Okay.
She
So I wrote
is.
it down. And the moment I wrote it down, I just went, done. And then I could listen to what you were saying. But my head was like,
Blah, blah,
brrr.
blah, 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 blah.
I was cultivating resilience during chaos.
No, but you just underlined what I said. As soon as you gave that number, the chattering monkey mind just went, done.
Yeah.
No more. Oh my God, what about this? What about this? So dear listeners, it's as simple as that. And it's also extremely important to not compare yourself to anybody else. Because, cultivating resilience during chaos, I think tip number one, I'm going to kick us right off. Tip number one is, what's your definition of resilience? So defining it for you, not comparing yourself to other people. Because sometimes we can look at how a person deals with a chaotic situation and then we think, oh, I have to deal with it like that. But maybe that's not how you deal with it. And maybe that's not what your definition of resilience is. So put your hand on your heart and say, I've got this. And what does that feel to you? Does that make sense? Finding your own definition of resilience.
I'm grinning my head
Deb's
off.
grinning away here.
I'm grinning away because I actually, one of the things we do is we don't go, here's the title, what are our tips?
Yeah.
We literally just go, here's the title, let's go. Who's introducing it? And we start recording.
Mhm.
That's how it happens. And so I had to giggle because I wrote this down. I wrote the 1.5 and I wrote my tip number one was declaration. Literally what's declaration. And then I wrote beside it, what does that look like? Like declare it to the universe, but what does that look like? And then I had to laugh because as Moira's talking, I'm like, bloomin' heck.
She's
She's
saying the
just
same thing.
literally just said, what is your definition of resilience? What does it look like? And I'm just going, what the heck? What the heck is did she just peek over my computer and have a look at my notes or anything? But that's why I was sitting there grinning. So does it make sense? Yes, Moira. The answer to your question is yes, that makes sense to me. Does it make sense to anyone else? It better.
Well, it's actually not surprising that we're tapped right in, seeing as we both started off at 1.5.
I was just laughing, going, oh, I'm going to start writing a couple of tips here to get myself ahead, was thinking. No, I'm living in the present right now. So my tip was declaration, what does that look like? Which goes with yours, what is the definition of resilience? So when I declared that 1.5, that's it, done.
Yeah.
And so that is that whole declaration part of that. That's my tip. Anyway, which entangles into your tip. I'm just grinning. Of course, I'm grinning.
That. I love that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say honor you. Honor the fact that if you're in a chaotic situation, you have been in it before. Maybe not that exact situation, but you've been in chaos or chaotic types of situations and you dealt with them. So one of the key components or ingredients, if you like, of resilience is, even if you cannot see your way through or you can't see the light, it's still there. I was talking about this to a group of people the other day. I was saying, even if you're sitting in a dark room and you don't know where the light switch is, the light switch is there. You just can't
That's
see
actually
it.
a great analogy. Yeah.
And so you honor that, okay, I've known where that is, and so you could maybe kind of aim yourself towards that light switch and run your hand up the wall and find it. Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's a trust. It's that okay, I've been through this before. I've navigated these blocks or problems or issues or whatever it is that you're feeling. And so therefore you don't get into a story about it, because the story can sometimes kind of exaggerate or explode even the level of chaos, right?
Yeah.
So honor your ability, honor that you've been through stuff and you came through it. right?
I'm grinning,
And she
grinning, guys.
grinning. Whoops.
I'm grinning because if only she knew what's in my mind right now. But one of the things I wrote down was when Moira started talking was be gentle on yourself.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's honoring you again. That's it.
Well,
Tagging on it.
actually, yeah. Yeah.
Acknowledge that you're a human, having a human experience, and you have emotions. And and there'll be reasons why, and that's okay. And you can unpack those or not. And that's where it goes back to that PEMS. Be gentle on yourself. Okay, well, no wonder this is making sense. No wonder I'm out of sorts, or no wonder I don't want to do this, or whatever it is. No wonder
Yeah.
why me? Any of that. Well, actually, if you're going down the why path, that's a whole tip on its own. Avoid why. Why me? Why me?
Definitely
Why me?
avoid
That's a
that.
whole tip on its own. But be gentle on yourself with those human emotional experiences that you have. Back to
So,
then honoring yourself.
yes, definitely. I like
Yeah.
that. And I think I agree with you that avoid why needs to be a tip on its own.
Yeah.
The thing that I like to suggest with avoiding why is, can you turn a why question into what?
Mm.
So instead of say why is this happening, is no, what can I be learn? What can I learn here? What's the gift here? What's the wisdom here? What's my responsibility in here? See, what questions always lead you to a solution, as to why questions will always lead you to negativity and shame and blame and guilt and yuck stuff, right?
Yeah. It's on it. That's that whole. You're not going to be if you're going down the blame and shame. You're not going to be gentle on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So go on a
No,
tangent.
definitely
When you get on that tangent, that tangent's a crazy tangent, crazy tangent.
was that's going to, but see, those things, that tangent is going to explode or exaggerate the chaos, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the thing too, is to cultivating resilience is to stay present to what can I do. You know, sometimes chaos can be created more and more by saying, okay, I've got this chaotic situation, or this turmoil, or this trauma is going on, and I can't do this and can't do this and can't do this, and they can't do that and they can't do this. And that's just creating more of that energy. Whereas cultivating resilience can suggest to you that, number one, hand on your heart. That's actually a tip on its own right there. If
Mm.
you're in chaos, the very first thing to do is to put your hand on your heart. Remind yourself that you live here. This is the seat of your soul, is at the heart space. And then you can see, what can I do right now? And sometimes it's nothing. So therefore, I'm just going to sit with my hand on my heart and keep breathing and attending to my nervous system,
Mm.
right? That in itself creates an energy ripple effect that ultimately can calm the chaotic environment or situation or things of that nature, right?
Yeah. I just wrote down trust again behind that hand on heart, beside that hand on heart. And you know, when we're talking about honoring yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that goes back to trust as well.
Definitely.
It's bringing that trust, which is also, you know, when we talked being there before, it's a trust. I can get
Yes,
through that. Trust I can find that light switch. I trust that there's a solution to this problem, because there always is. Um, one of the things my tip is, oh, did we say grab a note-taking device?
I
You
did.
probably, oh,
I
good.
did say it. I did.
I didn't hear it because I got so entangled with.
I said to write down your PEMs and keep a
Oh,
hold of your note-taking device.
perfect. Perfect. Um, one of the things I just wrote down then was people. And people are important to be around you. And some people are like, "Ugh, I don't like people, blah, blah, blah," whatever it is. But animals, it's important to have the right people around you and be aware of that. So there's people who are balloon poppers or cheerleaders. And the cheerleaders are the one, we all know what a cheerleader is, someone who supports you and goes, yay, let's get this moving. And that's that pom-pom cheerleader. But we've also got the balloon poppers, and they're the ones who pop your balloons, your thoughts, your fantasies, your beliefs, any of those things. And they're both valid for our growth. You can't run from the balloon poppers. You can't run from the cheerleaders. They're around you. But the best people to have are those ones in the middle who can say things like, that's a great way you're doing this, but it could be done in half the time. So you've got a little bit of the balloon popper and a little bit of the cheerleader, and they help you get you through this resilience during your chaos. And if you're looking to find the right people around you, you know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say Moira and myself, because we have a different agenda when we come in. Our agenda is to get you the result that you're looking for.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I would like to just put a little caveat to what you said there, though, about the balloon poppers, where it might be a useful piece to have somebody just call something or call you on something.
Yeah.
Be very mindful, because I'm thinking about cultivating resilience during chaos. So if you have an intuitive hit, or you're starting to formulate an idea of how to steer through this or get to calmness from the chaotic part, but you're not quite sure, you be wise to ensure that you talk to somebody who's in neutrality, not being a balloon popper. Because if you talk to somebody that you know will always say, no, I'm not sure that that worked, nope, that won't work, nope, that, then you actually created a sort of an onslaught to your own resilience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like just being mindful of that, because sometimes I like it to bring it up and have somebody say, oh yes, but Moira, you haven't looked at it from this perspective. So, but I'm actually at a space of resilience where I do want a whole shot in it if that's what's needed. But if I'm not to that point, then I'm not ready for it, and I just want neutrality. Does that make sense?
100% it does. And when I think about that, it is literally, the balloon poppers already, the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
So if you're in that space, then definitely don't go to the balloon poppers.
Yeah.
Like go to those people around you, but you know who they are. So it's your awareness yet again. It's your awareness yet again. I just talked to a lady in our group yesterday, and she's doing a new logo, designing her logo. And she's like, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? And there was only a couple of us on the call, and we gave our opinion. But I said to her, you've got to be careful, because if you're asking 10 people about this particular logo and colors and everything, you've got 10 people who have their own agenda.
Yeah.
Like some people go, no, do gold, no, do silver, no, do white. Everyone's doing white now. And it's literally going to overcrowd your mind. So that cultivating resilience during chaos is about finding the right people around you.
It absolutely is. And knowing that the people that you're asking for their feedback are actually part of that tribe. Because what you're talking about is, I can think of times where I've shown like an article that I've been writing for my website, or something that I'm designing for a workshop, and I say to my husband, what do you think of this? And he goes, he doesn't like it. And like, oh, don't use that color, and don't do that picture. And so for a while, I'd be like, oh, dang, my husband doesn't like it. And then I said to him one day, yeah, but you're not my ideal client.
Exactly.
Right?
But even being brave enough to say that, because some people are like, I want to ask my mum and get her opinion, and I don't want to upset her if she tells me do it gold and I want to do silver.
Yeah.
Ask your mum.
Yeah,
Just say,
exactly.
mum,
Exactly.
let her know when it's done.
Yeah.
But talking to someone who's 90 is going to give you a different perspective to someone who's 60, someone who's 20 to someone who's 15. Do you like these colors? We all eat differently. There's a platter of food in front. We all eat it at different times, how we eat it, how we chew. Everything's different. So just ensure that you have the right people around, and that they're relating to what you're asking them. But you're right.
Yeah.
Asking a 90-year-old what colors suit a logo is different to if your clientele is 30.
Exactly. So something else that I just thought of that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is kind of funny, I just said about my husband, is I actually do know that he opens my newsletter. And so I was checking my tip. I said that to him a couple months ago. I was like, I know you still open them, which I think is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, I just want to check in what you're doing. Just
Yeah,
checking in. I'm just wondering what you're up to because you're not telling me lately.
yeah.
Sort of breaking news there and go, oh, that's what's been going on.
Aha, that's what's happening with the moon phases now.
But yeah, yeah. But beautiful. That is a prime example of having the right people around. Now,
Yes.
he could be seen as a bloom popper. Like,
Yeah,
don't, he could be
definitely.
seen as that. But he's also a cheerleader, but he's a cheerleader in his own way.
That's
He's
right.
just that silent cheerleader, just reading and going, oh, okay, yep, she's still on track.
Yeah.
Yep, she's
Yeah.
it's cute. It's cute. So don't underestimate those people.
That's right. That's right. Um, but you know what? This felt like it was going back to the first tip that we talked about the declaring it and defining it, because to your point about um when we're asking other people for their feedback, it's really important to get clear on what does it feel like to you.
Mm. Well, that's
Actually,
those
that's
three.
funny. That's three questions again. As soon as it was out of my mouth, I was like, yep, is
I'm
this
like,
good
hang
for
on,
me?
I know that one. Yeah,
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 is this good for me? Is this good for others? And do I want to? And I think it's really important to that in itself will help you with your level of resilience prior to asking for feedback, right?
yeah,
Because if you can say, yep, it's good for me, yep, it's good for others, whoever is the others are, and I want to, then you're much more able to sort of say, thanks for your feedback, but I'm still going to go this way. Or that's a great component. I hadn't thought of that. And so then kind of shifting and changing to suit if that's
yeah.
what's required, right? Resilience to me is it's about the adaptable flowing nature. I think of like the power of a river creating a canyon. That's
Mm.
resilience, but it's the flow and the harmony and balancing and trust. There's a lot of trust in there too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Trust. Trust is in everything. I think all of our
I
little.
think so.
When I think about cultivating resilience during chaos, oh, I think about it. I think do things. The old glitter bomb. The glitter bomb's going off again, and ensure when you're um in that room with no light switch and you know the light switch is there and you're feeling up and down the wall going for how high this light
It's
switch
here
because
somewhere.
it must be somewhere. And then, yeah, I think about that and I was thinking, imagine standing in that room with those goggles on that you could see them and they just missed that light switch. You're like, no, go back. When I think about the glitter bomb in that room, I think as long as you're doing something that still gives you that yes feeling,
Hmm. That
that
gives
and
you a
it's
sense of meaning or purpose, right?
yeah, definitely ensure that there's something around that makes you smile while you're sitting during this chaos. And I'm not talking
Yeah.
about it's smile that feels right. Like, okay, there's so much going on right now. I just need to sit and pause.
Mhm.
Or so much going on. I just need to go outside and look at my garden. Or there's so much outside. I just need to hide in the loo and shut the door away from the dogs and the animals and all the rest of it. The dogs and the animals and the children or whatever. There's so much going on. So when you get into that, there's some glitter going on for you. Ensure that it's something that feels good inside.
I like that because that really interweaves with the whole part that even in discombobulation and chaos, there's still something to be grateful for.
Mm,
Even if it is just, like you say, you can go into the washroom and shut the door and sit in darkness for a moment if you want.
yeah, to just take
Just
that
to,
moment.
yeah, and
Yeah.
focus on your breath and put your, and maybe even in just doing that, it can just be, oh, hand on your heart, deep breath. I've got this.
Mm.
Because something else that I think is
It
very
goes back to
important.
that trust again, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and that's funny that you're saying that because the other what I was going to say here about the cultivating resilience during chaos is I have a firm belief in my life that no matter what type of situation, environment, uh, situation or environment or that we are in, we can deal with it. Because if we couldn't, we wouldn't be there. We do not live in a punishing universe. I know lots of people would say, yes, this, well, what about this and what about this? Yeah, what about being able to just say, I've got this. And even if I can't see my way through, then I can come back into, instead of giving lots and lots of energy and verbiage to, I can't do this and can't do this and can't do this. Yeah, but what can you do? And once you start recalibrating to that and recalibrating it to it from the perspective of, I wouldn't be in this situation if I couldn't deal with it, or if I couldn't come through this, or, get through to the other side. And sometimes in my own life, there have been times, actually quite a few, a lot more than I can even tell you on this podcast, that in hindsight, I can look at some of the situations I've come through and go, gosh, look at that. I did have what it took to come through. But, and this is the thing that why I'm kind of saying that is that it's really, really important to reach out for the support and the help and the guidance when you are in these chaotic times, if you need to, because it's all very well for me to say you're never in a situation that you can't deal with. That doesn't mean you deal with it on your own. Sometimes you dealing with it is because you put your hand up and said, help. Can you hold my hand? Can you steer me through this? Can you be by my side? Can you be a sounding board? Can you hold space for me? Can you give me support or ideas, things of that nature? The key piece here, though, is that even, and this is helping cultivate resilience, is that even when asking for help, you're still the boss of you. So you might be empowering somebody else to hold space for you because you're so locked on to the chaotic, crazy making situation. I'm thinking of like a health diagnosis or something where a lot of times certain health diagnosis will totally plummet you into fear and self-criticism and just like, yeah, total discombobulation. So in those spaces, you do need help. You need to create your own team. And this comes back to, Deb, you often talk about surrounding yourself with the right people. You want people that you can say, hold space for me here. And, I need you to pick up the slack over here, or help me with this mindset, or help me with that. But you see, when you're doing that, you're empowering people to be your team, and you're still the resilient team leader in it all. Does that make sense?
It does. And also knowing what you want. Like, can you just listen to me read this aloud? Can you just not give me any, just be like, let them know, I just want you to listen to me moan and groan about this, or I want you to listen to me, like, let people know, I want you to help me unpack this. Can you let me read it first, and then we can, if you've got anything to say. And so I get that. So just ensure you know what outcome you want. But also, if you don't know the outcome, just have a little bit of an idea. Like, it doesn't have to, I want this. I want you to say, yes, it's great. Well, not everyone's going to say that.
Or you can just do something simple. I have clients that will do this, that they'll say, hey, Moira, I've got such and such a situation going on. Can you help me unpack it?
Yeah, perfect. That's
Right.
it. That's just letting the other person know what their expectation is for you.
Yeah.
Your expectations for them. Yeah.
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 A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift.
And then it's a co-created thing that because I do a lot of that, and I know you do too, is we hold space and then mirror back, or maybe give some techniques and ideas, or I might give a guided meditation or a tapping routine or things of that nature. But after helping to unpack something and really empower the person, because all healing is actually the person healing.
Mm.
It's not me healing them, it's them healing, but sometimes we need to enroll other team members
Yeah.
in that approach, right?
Totally, totally.
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking, I actually wrote down, pat yourself on the back for how far you've come.
Nice, yes. Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
really important.
um, because it's actually acknowledging. Actually, that's a whole tip on its own. I was thinking I'm tagging on to yours, but it's actually acknowledging where you've been, how far you've come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know we said honor ourselves and we've been there before, but also really acknowledge it and go, you know what? Whoo, God, I didn't think I'd ever get through that. I remember that time. Remember when my boyfriend broke up with me at 14? I never thought I'd love again. And I thought it was the end of my world. No boy broke up with me at 14, by the way. It's just a made-up story. As I said that, I was like, that's not even true. But people do acknowledge that that's how far you've come and what you've got yourself through. Yeah.
You know,
I,
and
oh yeah.
I
You're
just
gonna say
wanted to I just wanted to add something to that, because I just wrote down beside that tip triumph. And because I came across this meme years ago that says, um, the difference between try and triumph is just an umph. Isn't that cool? And so
yeah.
that's you say, pat yourself on your back for how far you've come and how many times you've triumphed.
Yeah.
That adds to resilience.
Yeah, totally. And it puts some glitter on it. There's a
Yes,
spark
makes
to
you
it.
smile
You have
with
to
glitter.
smile or not, but I'd like to think you do smile at that like I did. Well, I was actually going to talk about the four agreements.
Of course you are.
Yes, I was. And be impeccable, cultivating resilient during chaos. Be impeccable with your word.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take anything personally. Oh, that's a great one, especially in here. Always do your best and don't make assumptions. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, well, they're all significant. They're all significant, and they all have an impact. But when you can embed those four agreements into, if we actually got paid every time we mentioned the four agreements, I think we'd be billionaires by now. It's literally in most of my conversations with, definitely in our podcast, but they're so simple. That's what they are.
They are. And they do in particular with the idea of resilience, because
Mm,
and actually in our last episode, that's what I was inviting people to start their day. Just for today. Just for today, I'm going to be impeccable with my word. Just for
yeah.
today, I will not take anything personally. Just for today, I will not make any assumptions. And just for today, I will do my best. It
See, that makes it easier.
I like that. It just
It just
feels, yeah.
makes it easy, achievable,
Mhm,
reachable, can do it.
mhm. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful way, because you see, I'm thinking about the idea of creating resilience. This is like making a commitment to yourself. It's owning that you are worthy of making those types of commitments to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that in itself, it cultivates resilience. You know, the other thing that I'm thinking of here too is that the doing a statement like that, you've heard me say that before, that what you appreciate appreciates. And so by appreciating yourself, by re reaffirming to yourself your commitment to
Mm,
following those four agreements, that makes you appreciate it. It's like you become more tenacious, more resilient, more capable, more confident, more in the
mm,
flow, more in the zone, more in the flow, right?
yeah. Just trying to think of yes, 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 yes. I was thinking of examples this morning. Yes, yes, yes.
Just
Flow.
for today.
Just for today. I was thinking even that cultivating resilience during chaos, just even that, just knowing you're flowing.
Yes.
Even if
Yes.
you're even if you don't, just because when you said flow, I'm like, that's exactly it. That's actually just having that trust again. It's having that I'm flowing here. Even if you feel like you're not and you're treading water and you're not, you're still flowing. There's still something moving through you, whether you're not taking action, your physical action, but your mind is going, okay, what steps do I need to take? So your brain is taking those actions. What steps do I need to take before your physical catches up? So you're still flowing no matter what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And that because sometimes when it's a chaotic situation, you might not feel like you're flowing. But if you can actually, maybe that's time to just sort of pause for a moment and come back into the statement of, I've got this, or I wouldn't be here experiencing this, viewing this, seeing this, if there wasn't a component of this that's contributing to my big picture or my big why, right? My big outcome, my big
What
transformation, up leveling. Because that is cultivating resilience is to always remember that you actually are always in the right place at the right time. Even if it feels like, yeah, but I planned this whole thing out and I wanted to be there and blah, 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 right? That's your thinking process. None of us, and I've talked about this before from a human design perspective, none of us are actually wired to make our choices and our decisions from our thinking process. It's a very important piece to keep coming back into because resilience comes from your heart. It comes from listening to your inner wisdom, your intuition, your guidance. But sometimes our logic, our rational minds, our blah, 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 that goes a mile a minute, will have us think something else. It might create a, a why is this happening? Why every time you say yes to this, this is what it goes.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking my next tip is when you get on that Y train, it's just an endless cycle. And, it's pivoting back because I love the way you said resilience comes from the heart. And I'm thinking about cultivating resilience during chaos. You're running out the door, you're running late, your top gets caught in the
On the
door.
doorknob. Yeah.
It gets ripped and you're like, I've got to change my whole outfit now and I'm then not going to change this, and it just gets that whole chaotic. So the moment that chaos hits that you perceive as chaos, just pull right back, stop, pause, reflect right there.
Yeah.
And I talk about seen, heard, acknowledged. It's literally see yourself, hear yourself, and acknowledge yourself right there and then. It's just pulling yourself back, because when you get on that crazy train, I'm going to say crazy train, and it just rattles and it goes and it goes and it goes faster, and then there's more chaotic, and you're like, come on. So it's up to you to pull yourself back and go, let's just stop right here, right now, and let's pull myself back to what's going on, what's important, what isn't.
I love that, because if you're on the crazy train, maybe it's time to pull the emergency cord, come to a screeching halt and pause, put your hand on your heart, and then it'll start to flow again.
And it does literally just, and there's always time in the day. Like hand on heart's just a 2-second thing. The moment your brain goes hand on heart, you literally just go back to, okay, and it just does that.
And actually can bring right in, I've got this. My head was thinking all these crazy things of like, oh my God, this is all going to fall apart. And then this, and then you come back in and you go, pause. It's actually all okay. All is well in my world.
It's not as bad as what I thought. Yes. Well, is it my turn to wrap it up? It was, wasn't it?
Actually is, yes.
Crikey. Cultivating resilience during chaos. Not that we're going to go over a time or anything. We are just going to wrap up our podcast into as quick as possible that we can put into our tips. And so we're cultivating resilience during chaos. Tip number 1, which was actually a tip number 1 and tip number 2, that's where I started laughing. So Moira asked, what is your definition of resilience?
Yes.
And when we think about that, your definition could be different to somebody else's, most likely because you see the way they handle things because of their past stories or their past antics or whatever, because of their past, they have a way to do their own resilience and you have your own way. So find what works for you. So what is your definition of resilience?
Mhm. And that's when you said to make a declaration of what it is.
Oh,
I like the word declaration too.
yeah, what does this look like? Yeah, I was
What does it
laughing,
look like? Yeah.
which is exactly what does it look like for your definition of resilience, and then declare it.
Yeah.
Dec-
Yeah.
yeah.
Which actually leads beautifully into the next one I have here is to honor your ability because you've dealt with stuff before. We
Mm,
actually talked a wee bit later and another tip, but this was just to honor that, if you're in a chaotic situation or you're in some form of discombobulation, you have the capacity to come through it. And
mm,
you have in the past. And sometimes that can just be an instruction to your crazy making thinking to say, I'm not going to overthink this because I've dealt with stuff before. So I can deal with this one too. And I honor that.
yeah. And one of the Moira actually mentioned a beautiful thing, was about being in a room with a dark room.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. Every problem has a solution, which we know. But I love the way that Moira described it. You're in a dark room. You know there's a light switch there. You've just got to find it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just turn the light on. It's like logical. Okay, now I've got to find the light. Okay, that's okay. But that's how simple it can be, because we do get chaotic in our
We do,
mind.
because on the flip side, we could get, is there a light switch in here? Maybe there's not. Maybe the light bulb bell failed, or maybe I just need to
Yeah,
sit here in the
exactly.
middle and get frozen.
Yeah, maybe it was a short person who installed the light bulb, as
Yeah.
the installed the switch. But it
Yeah.
does. But I love that, honoring yourself. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, which entangled my one, which was be gentle on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be
And
gentle on
that's
yourself.
such a crucial thing. Being gentle to yourself or on yourself is so important to getting into that mindset. What's that?
For your soul. Yeah, it's so important.
Absolutely. And cultivating resilience and acknowledging that yeah, I've got this. I can deal with this. It's all
Yeah,
right. Things are all okay.
yeah.
The next one we talked about was to avoid why. And that
Ugh.
was why will always take you down into guilt and shame and blame and I suck kind of conversations. And so I invite you to turn every time you start feeling into a why spiral, see if you can turn it into a what question. Instead of saying, why is this happening? Say, what is what is my part in this? What is the gift in this? What is the thing I can do in this?
Yeah.
And that actually allows you to steer your way through into resilience and problem solving and recognizing, hey, there is a way through this. There's the light switch.
It's it's not as bad as what you think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The next tip I had was hand on heart.
Yes,
And I think we could just embed that into every second one. Putting your
definitely.
hand on your heart and just reminding yourself that this is where I live. I live right here. If I can make my decisions in my heart, I'm going to be more fulfilled in my world than in my head.
Definitely.
So, and that's that trust again.
Mm-hmm.
Again, trust. Hand on heart. Just trust yourself that you live here, and all will work out.
The other wee piece that I said when I talked about that hand on your heart is that by doing something tactile like that, actually putting your hand physically on your chest, it starts to calm your nervous system. And that in itself up levels your resilience and starts to help you see more like, oh, this is actually not as chaotic as I thought it was because I was listening to the all that crazy stuff in my head. Right? Yes,
I love that.
me too. The next one, this is where we talked about surrounding ourselves with people. And I had put tribe, but you were saying about making sure you had the right people. And that's where we talked about, Deb talked about the balloon poppers and the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And we all know who they are. We know the cheerleaders and we know the balloon poppers. This is when I added a little caveat to the idea of when you're sharing something that maybe you're just contemplating, maybe it's a very beginning idea that you want to be sure you don't share that with a balloon popper type of person, somebody who's going to poke holes in it, you might want to make sure that you speak to somebody who can just be neutral, hold neutral space for you while you riff on it or unpack it. But once you've got to the sense of resilience of, yeah, I'm solidly in the this feels right, that's when we talk about my favorite 3 questions. Well, one of the sets of them. Is this good for me? Is this good for the other or the others? And do I want to? And once you've got the intel from that, that's when you can maybe invite people to have a look at your ideas that potentially could be balloon poppers that kind of say, oh, but this could be done this way, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I love
It's all
that.
about that's a beautiful way of up leveling resilience, I think.
And also, Moira and I are here.
Exactly. We're your peeps.
We your balloon poppers and your cheerleaders in one.
Absolutely. In one. Yes, we are.
And we do it with love
100%.
and laughter from Deborah. The next one I had was glitter bomb.
Mm,
When you're cultivating this resilience during chaos, ensure that you've got that glitter around you, whatever that glitter is. Whatever that glitter is, something, ensure that when you're cultivating that resilience and you're in a chaotic situation, pull out your glitter. Okay,
yeah.
what's just going to make me happy right now? What's going to give me joy? What's going to give me a spark? What's going to light me up? What's going to make me smile? Whatever that is,
Yeah.
tap into that glitter bomb that you have for yourself.
Beautiful. I love that. And that helps you find your sense of meaning and purpose and gratitude. The next one I have is when I said about resilience, I feel like resilience is the quality of being adaptable and flowing. It's like water, the power of water to carve through anything. But that's what I see as resilience. So it's about one of Deb's favorite statements is you can always move the goalposts, right?
Mm.
So that as adaptable, flowing, and you hit a roadblock and oh, okay, I guess I'm going this way. Here's the detour. But it's always flowing, that we are always in flow, in the process, right?
Yeah. And knowing that you're appreciative to the situation. I don't know if that was a separate point or not. I can't remember. But one of the things I had was pat yourself on the back to how far you've come.
Yeah, yeah,
Acknowledge that. And that's when Moira put in
yeah.
a little cute little thing. I have to say, when she said triumph, I then went motorcycle.
Oh,
I just
of course you did.
I was
That's
like, I
funny.
know I was like, oh, Moira's bringing a motorcycle. Didn't even think that it broke it down. So I have to giggle at that because of my stories, I'm like triumph. I just
Yeah,
think about it.
that's
So
cute.
just a and try and triumph. The only difference is
A wee bit of oomph.
oomph. And that just makes it that's a glitter moment. That's a
It
glitter
is.
bomb.
Yeah.
So when you go triumph, don't think motorbikes. Just think it's just an oomph to go.
I just took a try to oomph.
And just hearing that, or you can do an oomph on a motorbike, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
But just hearing that's a glitter moment to turning things around. That's how simple it can be.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So pat yourself on the back for how far you've come.
Yes. The next one I have here is the 4 agreements, which we
Uh-huh.
often bring in. And that's where I invite you to try this on for size and let us know how it feels. If you set up your day every day, you just sit on the edge of your bed before you jump into your day and just say to yourself out loud, just for today, I'm going to be impeccable with my word. Just for today, I'm going to take nothing personally. Just for today, I will not make any assumptions. And just for today, I will do my best. And then jump into your day. You could actually then, at the end of your day, revisit that. Of course, there's no blame, shame, oh, I screwed up types of stuff. This is just for today. This is what I'm doing. Making
Just
a
for today,
commitment to
well,
yourself.
the day's not over yet, so I'm still awake, so I can just tweak a few things. But I love that, just for today. But that's how simple it can be. Like the stuff doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah. Simplicity is the key here.
Yeah, and I talked about flowing. Now I know we talked about flowing earlier,
Mhm.
but it was about even if your physical hasn't caught up with you, and just know that you're flowing, you're thinking about things. So there's a flow going, okay, if I do this, will this step work? Will this step? Who do I need to? So even though you're not actually taking action physically, your
Mhm.
brain is taking action. So just know that you're flowing in more ways than you think you are.
Absolutely, and be wary of that thinking part, because remember that resilience comes from your heart,
Mm.
right? And so your heart actually might be informing some of those thoughts or those ideas that you're saying maybe about this and right?
Which is a whole tip on its own. Resilient comes from the heart. Just even
Yes.
knowing that's an impact for words.
Yes. I had one that I missed earlier. It was about asking for help.
Oh
And
shoot.
it's
Oh,
okay.
reach out
Yeah.
for support and
Reach
guidance. I've
out.
got that right.
It's to, so because that's the thing, is sometimes when we're in situations we forget that just because you've created something or you're saying, okay, I'm going to get through this, and that's when I referenced, like health diagnosis. I work with a lot of people that are working through stuff like that, and it's so important to create your team, to actually have your support in place. And that can be health practitioners, it can be mindset coaches, it can be hypnotherapists and meditations and tapping and things of that nature. But make sure, because this helps you with that cultivating resilience, is knowing when I need to say, hey, I need some help. And that's when I said to you about a client. I often have clients that will do this. They'll pop me a message just before a session and say, hey, Moira, I want to talk about such and such, and I want you to help me unpack it.
Yeah.
And it's such an important piece to always remember that.
And that's it. Literally, that's it. That's all. That's it.
Yeah.
Um, I have mine was the crazy train.
Yeah. The crazy train, the why train.
Oh, and when you're running frantically, trying to go from A to B, and your top gets caught here, and this happens, and you can't find your keys, and you're racing out the door, and when I'm saying those things, people are going, "Oh, yep, I had that yesterday," or "Yeah, but I haven't had that for a while," and you're going to get it today. So
Yeah. I
just when,
ripped the pocket off my favorite jacket.
damn, damn, I just got this thing fixed. So the moment that happens, pause.
Yes.
I'm not saying stop, pause. Um, just pause and take a moment, hand on heart, and
Hmm.
just even you ripped your shirt, hand on heart. I've got this.
Yep.
I've got this. Just 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, and
Yeah.
then you can move again. Just that is honoring yourself, your time and energy, your love around you, and it just pulls you back to this.
Yeah. To be you being the boss and you being the creator, and just that's such a beautiful piece of resilience right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And and I know that's our last tip, but I had to giggle because I texted a client yesterday, and it just came to me then. And I'm going to read this out. This is about humming. And it says, did you know? So this is a great way to cultivate resilience. Okay. Did you know you can't have thoughts while humming?
Mhm.
When you hum, you're creating a space between your thoughts and your nervous systems. And I was like, oh, this can help you regulate to feel less anxious and overwhelmed. So hand on heart and hum away for your day.
There you go. That's a beautiful resilient building tip.
Done, done, done.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Is it my turn to wrap up or yours? I didn't even
It
know.
is actually yours, and that's we had to remind you that's the second time you've asked. So there's something interesting there.
Well, there you go. That's me wrapping up. So because I was like, did I cultivating resilience just as well Moira's onto it. This is see, got a tribe.
There,
If I
yep, that's it.
tell me, yeah, that's to guide me, to flow me. So we trust that there was some golden nuggets in this conversation for you. We trust that you got this and you're going to be able to share this and implement them into your world. And if you don't, it's still okay because they're already embedded into you. And when the time comes, one of these tips will
They'll
pop out
pop. Yeah,
and
yeah.
you'll go, oh, I remember Moira saying that, or I remember Debz saying that, or I need to hum and put my hand on my heart right now because there's so much going on. There's so much going on. But it is about being present.
Mhm.
Coming up today is about being present and not running from anything. So, and not running from anything was our PEMS. At the very start, we had our PEMS, which is our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And we checked in and we did a number where we were. Halfway, you also did another number where you were. And now at the end, we'd love to know where that number is from you. So
Mhm.
I know I was a 1.5. Where are you now, Moira, for your number?
I'm a 0. We were both 1.5 to begin with, and now I'm a 0. How about you?
I'm a 0 too. I'm a 0 too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we would love to know where you were, but my last tip for everybody is if you like this, if you really like this and the tips resonated, the next step is to reach out to us and let us know what tip you enjoyed the most. And if we missed any tips that you use, let us know, because you're not only helping us, but you're also helping others around. So let's share this gift to the world of our deliciously motivated mindset conversation. And let's cultivate our resilience during chaos, because it's around us at all times.
It is. And if, dear listeners, if you are in a chaotic situation and need help, be sure and reach out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hand on heart, humming, and reach out.
There you go. That's the trifecta.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Internet. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Moira, for the two-way conversation. And we look forward to presenting our next conversation with you on our next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, listeners. Thanks, Deb. Bye.